Thanks so much, Grant, for that awesome introduction. I would love to see some of your faces because, as you can imagine, speaking to black boxes is kind of just not really interactive. So I have my presentation on the screen, but I can pull up, I have two screens, so I can pull up any like questions or chats, and then I'll make sure to stop at the end and just answer some questions for you all. So as Grant said, I graduated from UCF and I'm really excited to be here. I was a part of the American Marketing Association when I graduated from college and tried to go to as many things related to marketing as possible. So I put together a presentation for you all, just kind of going over, and I think it breaks it down, yeah, where I started my agency now, and then I put together also some tips for your growth. These are kind of 10 things that I wish someone would have told me when I was in marketing at UCF. So I'm going to pass them along to you because I wish I knew them when I was in your shoes. So, perfect. So graduated from UCF in 2012. I actually started out as physical therapy. So I know I can't really see all of you. I can see like 4 of you right now, but I know if you guys can like virtually raise your hand, I know there are so many people that started off as another major and then switched their major. I did that. I did physical therapy and then ended up going to marketing after a year in. So totally switched after that time. And after I graduated, my parents joked with me and said that I was a professional interviewer because I went on 30 plus interviews. I don't know if anyone can relate or if anyone's super close to graduating at the end of the year, but I just wanted a marketing position, and marketing and sales in the real world are kind of going hand in hand. But I didn't want to sit behind a desk and do like 50 to 100 to 150 cold calls. So, after that, I got a job at a dermatologist, and that was one of the 30 interviews I went on. Believe it or not, can anyone turn on your volume? Just like guess where I got the job. It's the sketchiest place on the internet.
Craigslist.
Yeah, whoever said Craigslist, you're right. Was that you, Natalie?
Yes.
Awesome. Good job. Yeah, I totally got my first job and I lived to see another day from Craigslist. They didn't want to pay for advertising the position. And I was like, you know what? One of my friends found a job on Craigslist. So I'm just going to sit here and put out a bunch of resumes. And then that was the easiest interview that I went on. And it was really amazing. So it was for a dermatologist located here in the Central Florida area. And as you can see on this slide, in the first 6 months, I helped to rebrand the whole company. So he had never had anyone in marketing before, and you all know you're in the marketing classes. They can teach you the overview of marketing, but it's so different when you're actually creating posts and interacting with real people instead of maybe case studies. So I really hit the ground running and rebranding the whole company. This was the logo before. I don't even have a good picture of the logo, but it doesn't really matter because you guys can see what the logo looks like, right? It's like, I describe it as like one of those Roman wheels and then these like funky gold images. But if anyone can like look super closely, it's an M underneath of a G or on top of a G for his initials. So this was the original logo. The color scheme was like browns, khakis, and burgundies, which you guys are in marketing, so I totally think we can relate. That's not good. So this is what we came up with instead. The total opposite color scheme, opposite of everything. And I love talking about this because I didn't come up with this logo. It was a joint effort. So it was an effort from the doctor, from the team that we hired to help us, and from me and the marketing team. So the reasoning behind the color scheme, because colors are super important. And if you all have studied anything within the marketing classes, like red evokes hunger. That's why you see McDonald's like yellow and red coloring. Well, one thing that the doctor in charge really wanted to pull out of people during this or during when people were searching for a dermatologist was a comfort level. So teal is a really like cool, comfortable color. Also, he didn't want to have any vibrant or bold colors. So you'll see the mid-Florida, that's not really in like a bold black. It's kind of like a charcoal, like gray color. And that was on purpose. And then obviously the main image is the woman sitting underneath of an umbrella in a bathing suit. I mean, Florida, we have beaches, it's the outdoor lifestyle. And then we researched and found that women made the primary buying decisions for the family. So that was why we put a woman underneath, you know, a big hat, a big umbrella, because dermatology is all about the skin. And one of the biggest things, especially in Florida, and is going out into the sun and making sure you're protecting yourself. So the umbrella represents the company kind of trying to protect you from the sun and prevent. So a total 180 from the original logo. And then, so this kind of sums it up. New logo, slogan, colors. I also created their social media sites for the first time too. They didn't have any sort of social media presence. And then something else that I was able to work on, which is really cool, is so in college, I worked at Bath and Body Works. You guys know it. You probably have like little pocket bags, the little hand sanitizers from them or candles from them. So it's really funny how things come full circle. So I worked there and really loved that. And that was my kind of first inkling that maybe I wanted to do marketing. So I'll tell you a quick story. I worked there, as I mentioned, in college, and this lady walked in. I worked at the Florida Mall, and I can't speak any Spanish. And we had a lot of people from out of the country and a lot of Spanish speakers. So one day this lady came in and she didn't speak any English, and she was with her daughter-in-law, and she said, "I just want something to make me feel beautiful." And earlier that day, the managers had given us the task of selling these 3 perfumes that we had left. And if you all know Bath and Body Works, you know that they have really good deals. It's like buy 2, get 1 free for candles and lotions and everything. So this day they did buy 1 perfume, get 2 for free, because they wanted these things gone. Like if you think of, like, I would say a more mature woman, that's kind of what it smelled like. So let's just say your grandma smelled like roses and florals, and it was like super strong, and it wasn't for everyone. But so this lady came back in, and she said, "I just want something to make me feel beautiful." So I took her over to a skincare line and said, "You know, I think there might be something that you're interested in." And I brought her over to these perfumes. I brought it up, sprayed it on the little piece of paper, shook it a little bit, and had her smell it. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I love this." And she took all 3. So that was kind of my first dive into helping people, discovering their needs, cross-promoting different items. And I love talking to people, so that was kind of the icing on the cake. So coming back to Naked Turtle, the dermatologist that I work for said that he wanted to create his own sunscreen product. And if I didn't have that experience working like super minimum wage from Bath and Body Works, I wouldn't have been able to help him to the extent I did here. So this is a sunscreen that he created, and he still sells it in all of his locations. And we were able to come up with the formula. We worked with a local company over in Cocoa Beach and came up with the scent of it, came up with the design, and helped to implement everything. So it turned into a real life product, which is pretty cool. This is what it looks like. So he had the little turtle kind of out of his shell. So remember, going back to dermatology, being protected from the sun, if you're outside of your shell per se, or if you're like a little turtle outside of your shell, you're exposed. So the sunscreen was supposed to help the little turtle. And that was the branding that we came up with for it. We worked with a really amazing design company to create this. We got all the tubes printed, all of the packaging printed, and it was kind of really neat to see it in real life. And then this was just the verbiage on the box. I just think this is really cool to show you all, because this was actually printed on the box. And while that sounds like, oh, maybe that's not that cool, I think it's super cool, because how many times do you get to write your own verbiage for a product that's actually printed and that people use? So now let's talk about the other 50% of what I did for him. So not only did I do digital marketing, I also did outside marketing. So sales, kind of like sales, but business development too. So the business development was going to doctors who did refer or who could refer. So kind of, if anyone is familiar with a drug rep, like going in, dropping off information, educating them, that's kind of like what it was. And I loved doing that, but it wasn't my favorite thing. So when I started with him, I started and he had 10 offices. And then by year 2.5, I kind of felt like I reached a plateau. So in the 2.5 years that I was there doing the digital marketing and the outbound marketing, I helped them double in size. So when I started with them, they had 10 offices. And at 2.5 years, when I left, They had 20 offices, 17 in Central Florida and 3 out of state. And it got to the point where the doctor just wanted me to go out and meet more people and travel all around. So if you guys can imagine, there's 17 locations around Central Florida. There's one of me. I had a marketing assistant. So there's 2 people. And each week I had a calendar of each week. So like week 1 would be going to like Metro West. Week 2 would be going to Oviedo. Week 3 would be going to Daytona. Week 4 would be going to Kissimmee. And as you can imagine, there's a ton of drive time, and I really love the digital side of it. But he was like, no, I don't want to do digital. I want you to go meet doctors, go meet practices, just get on the road. So I just didn't know how much further I could help him grow, and I didn't want to be on the road all the time. So I started working mornings, nights, and weekends. So I got my first client in February 2014, and she just needed help with her website. She needed help with her social media and her SEO. She was paying a company, and she was like, I don't know what I'm getting from them, and I don't know how they're helping me. So I put together a proposal for her and helped her redesign her whole website and restructure it. It was disorganized, and I was like, if I'm a marketing person, I don't understand it, your customers are definitely not going to understand it. So then I started working with her. She started getting leads in, and this was still while I was working full time. So it took me about a year or so to ramp up and finally put in my 2 weeks notice. And
Yay.
When I did that, I was the most nervous I feel like I've ever been, because I was like, all right, I'm either going to get fired today and I won't get that last 2 weeks of pay, or he's going to let me work my last 2 weeks and then I can get that last paycheck. So in the meantime, I had gone out to and found a networking group that was kind of the catalyst that helped me get more and more clients. I started getting referrals from other people, because if y'all haven't heard yet, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. So I wanted to meet as many people as possible so that they can know, like, and trust me. And then I started doing a really great job for them. They would refer me to someone else. They would refer me to someone else. And so that really helped me hit the ground running. So fast forward to today, that was in 2015. I can't believe it's been 5.5 years. But we're an all-women team right now, which I love. And this is what the team looks like now. So I have 3 content people. Actually, some of their positions recently changed, but 3 content people, someone for operations, a designer, and an account manager to help with the clients too. And then what we do is we do a lot of different things, but all centralized around digital marketing. So online marketing and websites is, so whenever someone comes to me, and this is like real life, these are the steps that I go through. Number 1, do they have a logo? Because a logo is completely essential. And that is basically the compass that points me and all of their customers in the right direction for understanding them and finding them. But for digital marketing, the logo is what you base everything off of. So the colors, the look and feel, anything that you can like grab from the logo, the fonts, anything else that basically dictates the website and all of the digital marketing moving forward. So some websites that we've done, this is one called Advantage Roofing. They've been a client of ours for probably like 4 years now. We redid their website, and there are a couple of things. Okay, my mouse works. A couple of things I want to point out here. Number 1, this call to action, which is CTA for short, call to action. And what that means is that you want people to convert. So the roofing industry is super cutthroat. There's a roofer on every single corner. So you have to do everything possible in order when someone gets on your website to convert easily. So we have click here to contact us, call us for a free roof estimate, and we also have this form here. What we noticed too is that if we put these forms right here on all of the internal internal services pages, we have a higher conversion rate. So what that means, a conversion equals a person that fills out a form, calls you, basically gets in contact with you. That's a lead. So what we wanted to do was increase the amount of leads on the website. So what we saw was that if we put these forms on the internal services pages, so like if you're a customer and you're looking at residential roofing, there'd be a form on that page. So it'd be super easy for you to get in contact with them. And that was the better chances of getting them more leads on the website too. We also do social media. I know probably everyone kind of, you guys probably were, yeah, in what, middle school, maybe end of middle school, high school, when social media like started getting super popular, I guess, depending on where you are in college. But we worked with Sweet by Holly. I'm sure you all know that. It's over near UCF. It's amazing. They have just like the most amazing cupcakes ever, and they look like this, like you can't even eat them. So this is a Mother's Day campaign that we did. We took all of the images, we came up with all the text, and we designed it too. So they printed these out in little flyers. They also had them in posters. And then this was their campaign for all of their social as well. So this was really fun to put together and kind of brainstorm, and they loved it. So search engine optimization. This is, I love search engine optimization, but for anyone who doesn't know, this is if you type in a keyword or phrase online, how you pop up in the search results. So an example right here is if you Googled in the Orlando area, small business marketing Orlando, we would come up for that search. So this first arrow over here, this is the first, this is on the first page of Google in the first position, and that's like the golden position because that's the one that gets the most clicks. And then this down here is your map listing. So there are normally three listings on your map listing, and that's also called the local pack. So fun industry phrase right there for you, the local pack. And those are the three listings underneath the map. But we do this for clients on a regular basis. Our specialty is helping service-based clients who want to reach a local clientele. So not just local to Orlando, but local to wherever they are. That's really our specialty. And then some fun design. So this is one of my favorites. We did it a little bit ago, but it is for an allergy clinic. They were opening up in Oviedo. And I love it because it's so simple and to the point. It has this really cute bike on it with the flowers. And then obviously so many people, fun fact, my husband is allergic to Christmas trees. I had no idea that that was a thing, but when you put Christmas trees in the room, he starts like, his nose starts running and all of that. So I had no idea people could be allergic to like flowers like that, Christmas trees, anything. So when we put this together, we put the flowers on the front of the bike, but we also put it as kind of like you're getting freedom by coming to this clinic and having them help you to go out, enjoy a bike ride with a bunch of flowers, Instagram ready, right? So that's one of my favorite designs. And then logo design too. I love this one because this was a really fun one to work with. This lady was an artist and she also did yoga, mindfulness, meditation. And this was an interesting one because she kind of had an image in her mind. We have a lot of clients that come to us and they're like, I know what I do. I don't know what you do. So I'm just going to tell you about my business and then have you come up with something. But this one was interesting because she's like, I have it in my mind. I just don't know how to put it digitally. And she would kind of like doodle over here and doodle over there. So it was really fun kind of pulling out what she wanted. But this was the final logo. Obviously it has a peace sign in the background. It has the lotus flower to represent mindfulness and meditation and all the yoga that she did as well. And then with the name on the bottom, Feel Peace Now. And then product photography. So if anyone, all of you are probably on Instagram. So you've seen these images. This is called a flat lay. That's like the term for it. Basically, it's everything laid out on a flat surface and then the image is taken from above. So this is one that we did for an Etsy shop that was doing digital downloadables. That boss lady in the frame is just a digital downloadable that they offered on the site. And these are really popular on Instagram. You've probably seen them if you're personally on Pinterest too. But I love images because they tell a story without having to say any words or write any words. And then some fun projects that we've done. This is a design project that we did, and this is for a credit card processing company. So he came to me and he was like, hey, I want to get this really cool card made. What can we do that's different, but that it still relates to my company? So this is a credit card or a business card that looks like a credit card. And we put all of his information. I don't think I have a back, but yeah. I don't have the back picture of it, but the back looks like the strip that you sign. And then it has a little bit of information instead of about the card, about the company. And he was completely thrilled because he was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It looks exactly like a card, but it also represents my brand really well. So this was a fun one to work on. And then this one was a project that we did for a construction company. So what they wanted to do was they wanted to submit their project for an award in a creative way, because they also could get an award for the most creative submission. So what we did was we brainstormed, and they did a compounding pharmacy. They built a compounding pharmacy. So we were like, all right, what can we do? Bringing in kind of the compounding pharmacy, which is what they were submitting for the original award. And we came up with this. So this is a Nalgene water bottle, which is like kind of like a water bottle like this, but a lot of hikers use it. And it was orange, and we peeled off any labels on it. The top happened to be white, which was so perfect. And so we basically made like a huge giant pill bottle. And instead of putting obviously pill bottle information or prescription information on there, we put all of their information. So in this yellow section, this is their phone number, this is their logo, their address. So we basically had a prescription bottle open over here on one screen, and then this screen over here to kind of compare, and they loved it. So they had a booklet, and they just rolled it up and then put it in the bottle and then submitted it like that. So that was a really cool and fun thing to work on. And then I don't know if anyone has heard of around Thornton Park, around Orlando, or around Winter Park on Instagram. There are local Instagram accounts that are kind of used to showcase different things happening, different items going on in the area, fun new locations opening. Well, anyways, if anyone has seen those, I created those around 5 years ago when I created the company. And that's been kind of like my side hustle from my main hustle. So I haven't known what to do with them for so long, but the around downtown Orlando account just hit 37,000 followers. Winter Park, I think, has 34. Thornton Park has 17,000. And then I also have two others. I'm from the Bradenton area originally, so it's kind of between Tampa and Sarasota. And I have around Tampa, and I think that one just hit 34,000. And then I have Sarasota, which is around like 17 or 18,000. So what I'm doing now is building a website and offering advertising on these different Instagram pages to businesses who want to reach a hyper targeted follower base in those particular areas. So if y'all haven't heard of them, you should go follow them because we post some cool stuff. All right. Yeah, so those Instagram alone, this is actually an old number. We're reaching way over that. I think I looked at one of the analytics, and the Around Winter Park account was reaching like 80,000 people just in 1 week. And I think another one was like over 100,000 people in 1 week. So it's really cool to kind of build those up and keep seeing them grow and progress. But okay, let's talk about you. Enough of talking about me. Let's talk about how we can help you in marketing. So how you can succeed after college. These are my 10 tips. If y'all want to like grab your phone, grab something to write with, I would highly recommend writing these down. Even if you don't have time to implement them now, or you're like, this list like really isn't for me, just write it down and save it for later. I can also email this to you all too, if that will help. So step number 1 is start learning now. There are, let me see. Yeah. Okay. All of these social sites, I cannot tell you like how much I look for people, even for internships, especially for paid positions or any position, that if someone comes in with experience and knowledge in these particular areas and they're maybe becoming an expert in those areas, that's going to set you apart so much more than anyone else. I don't think I have it in here, but I want to give you all, if you're like, I don't really know where to go to learn about all of this, I'm going to give you a couple sites real quick. So I can also put this in the chat as well. So if you're interested in learning about search engine optimization, the first one you should look at is Moz, MOZ.com. They are an industry expert in the SEO world. They have this thing called a Whiteboard Friday. It's around 15 minutes long, and they actually have a whiteboard in the background, and someone is teaching you about SEO. My whole team watches it every single Friday. It's pre-recorded. They post it on their site, and it's free. Another resource for you is socialmediaexaminer.com. They have a podcast, they have an amazing blog. It's just a really amazing resource for social media marketing in general. They also have a conference too. So if anyone is interested, when you get a job, your company might sponsor a conference to go visit. It's always every year in San Diego. And then another one that you should look into, if anyone is interested in Pinterest, Simple Pin Media, she does Pinterest marketing for companies. And I would have never thought to do Pinterest marketing for service-based companies or companies in general, but she has this amazing podcast. She has a Simple Pin Collective, which I think is $99 a month, and you can join her Facebook group. But it's an incredible company with a lot of amazing resources. And then if anyone is looking to become a blogger, you should look up Leslie Samuel or get into blogging personally. He teaches you how to become a blogger. I believe his website is becomeablogger.com. He's actually also my business coach, and he's amazing. He has YouTube lessons, a full blog on blogging, and he walks you through the steps too. So those are just a couple of resources that I would highly recommend. Also, certifications are key in marketing. Y'all, everything changes. So I'm going to give you some certifications and I would highly recommend you write these down. Number 1, Google Analytics Academy. It's free. Okay. Number 2, HubSpot has all of these amazing lessons for free. HubSpot has inbound, they have email marketing. I would highly recommend looking at that. Facebook has Facebook Blueprint. It's free to take the courses, but it's $300. I'm not sure if maybe they give a student discount, but it's $300 to take the test and get certified. Also, if you're looking for help with graphic design, think about it. If you're doing blogs or if you're doing social content, graphic design goes hand in hand because you want to have a visual aid. Canva, C-A-N-V-A, has a really great Canva. I think it's called like Canva Design Academy. They have a really great program for everyone to go through. So those are just a couple. I actually give bonuses for anyone on my team who takes these and gets certified in them because it's amazing. It helps them. It helps me in the long run. But if someone came into my company already being certified in, XYZ items, that would be a level up against the competition. And I think there's also one for Google AdWords. I believe there is, but look into those because those are going to be a really, really great help. And you have to think about what's going to differentiate you from everyone else graduating from college with a marketing degree. This is going to be that thing. So step number 2, I'm kind of like looking at the chat, but there's 41 notifications. So I'm just going to scroll through at the end for you all. So I'm going to try to get to all the questions if you all have them. Step number 2 is get an internship. Try to get a paid or unpaid internship. I know I worked personally through college to put myself through college, and I had 2 unpaid internships. And I worked at the same time, had an internship, and then went to school full time too. So I know some people can do it, some people can't, but getting an internship shows you what you do want to do and what you don't want to do, because you don't want to get out of college and realize, okay, I want a business development role, and then you hate talking to people, or it's really hard to close a sale or whatever else. If you don't like writing, try to get an internship that kind of like moves you away from writing to make sure that you like doing that particular thing. So getting an internship is just as much for you to find out what you do want to do as it is for finding out what you don't want to do. So that's going to be really key in helping you when you graduate, point you in the right direction. Step number 3 is come prepared. You all, I think I have this. Okay, cool. I can't tell you how many times people show up to an interview without a resume. They don't dress appropriately. One person showed up in a baseball hat. Another person wore yoga pants. I'm not making this up. So please, when you go to an interview, you should bring these things. 2 copies of your resume. I know COVID kind of threw everything off, but let's just assume we're all going to be, 2021 is going to be maybe a little bit more back to normal in person. So bring 2 copies of your resume. Always ask 5 questions. So I say 5 because you kind of have to gauge the conversation, but I write down questions before I went to the interview. That way I had all of the questions laid out. Some really great questions that you can ask are, what is a day in the position like? What qualities are you looking for in this position? What did the last person in this position have that you feel made them a great fit? What does the day-to-day look like? And the last question that you should always, 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 always ask, even if they only have time for 2 questions, the last question should be, what are the next steps from here? And the reason you should ask that question is because unless you ask that question, they probably will not tell you if, oh, you're in the middle of the interviews. Oh, we're towards the end of the interviews. Oh, well, we have 15 more people to interview. They'll give you more information so you'll know where to stand. And also you'll know when to follow up, because guess what? Everyone is busy. So you'll need to follow up with the people that you're interviewing with. Also, if you have a leave behind, this is something, something creative that you can leave behind for them. A business card is a good idea, but I would go for something a little bit more creative. If you can bring them like a showcase of your work, that would be great. Some really creative leave behinds that people have brought are, one person brought a mint plant, like an actual plant that was mint. And she wrote on the pot, "We're meant to be." And I just thought that was really cool, because on my website, we have a lot of like plants and succulents. Another person, I thought this was really neat. They brought a box in and it had 2 succulents and 2 candles, and she painted it with the logo of our company on the top. And she was like, you know, I was thinking it would be really cool for you to do like a welcome package for your new clients. And I just put this together as kind of like a showcase of what you could send your new clients. And I thought that was really cool, because she was kind of thinking outside of the box and showing me her creativity and how she could help our company as well. And then last but not least, have knowledge of their company. I've had people that I've interviewed and they're like, I'm sorry, what is this position for again? That's like the worst thing ever, because everyone's time is super valuable. So you want to make sure you know who the company that you know the person that you're interviewing with, you know about the company, and then you have some knowledge of their company too. So step number 4 is meet with a career coach or career mentor. Obviously, we're not in a room where you can raise your hands again, but hopefully some of you have met with the career development department over at UCF. I forget what it's called. Does anyone know? I forget. I think
the Office of Professional Development.
I think it's that one. Is it by the stadium?
Oh, career services or
career services. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, career services. That was my like ace up my sleeve, because I would meet with the person that was there. He's no longer there. He went to FSU, and then now he's at another school. But he would tell me who's interviewing, how much they're paying, how many people they're interviewing, when they're going to be there, what a good starting salary is, how to negotiate. I also did a mock interview. Y'all do mock interviews. It's freaking terrifying, but I'd rather be terrified with the mock interviewer than at an actual interview, okay? Also, get your resume looked over. All of those things are free. Like UCF has those for you. It does not cost you any money. If you think that your resume needs a revamp, go to Canva. I mentioned their design school before, canva.com. They have free resume templates that you can use. You can download it. And then that's going to be, you know, that's one thing to set you apart too, is having a really cool resume, and have one that's laid out really organized, because that person that's looking at all of these candidates is just going to go boom, 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 boom. Okay, cool. On to the next one. So make sure everything's organized and easy for them to look at. Step number 5 is get a mentor or mentors. I would ask you again to raise your hand, but I want to know, does anyone have a mentor or mentors? Maybe you can put it in the chat and we can like talk about it after. But anyone who doesn't have a mentor, I would highly, highly recommend that you reach out to someone, find one. I've had people ask me, well, how do I find a mentor? You can find someone on LinkedIn that you really admire. See if you can reach out to them, just introduce yourself. And after you've built up a little bit of a relationship back and forth, maybe look at their website, say, hey, I really liked how you did this. I really liked how you did that. And then if you get them to respond back, then you can reply, you know, I would really love to hop on a 30-minute call or a 15-minute call just to learn a little bit more about you. I'm looking to get into marketing and I really love everything that you've done. And that's how you can do it. Sometimes it's a little bit, it's a little bit hard to reach out to people when you don't know them, but being behind the screen helps a little bit. So I would say use LinkedIn to your advantage because you can reach a lot of amazing people on there. And I will tell you, I actually had a call with one of my mentors last night, and he has a marketing agency. Actually, I had one last night and then I got coffee with one this morning, but both of them have marketing agencies here in Orlando. One of them, he and I do the same thing, but at the end of the day, there's enough fish in the sea per se that we don't compete against one another. And anything that I don't do or that's like out of my wheelhouse or that I'm not familiar with, I actually refer to those two mentors because they have different specialties and different niches. So don't discount people in your industry as well, because some people wouldn't ever think if you're a marketing agency, some people wouldn't ever think to reach out to your competitor, but that's been just a really great resource for me. And these are people that have helped me over like tough decisions, really tough times, like moving and going around a speed bump instead of over it per se. But there are people that I can call on a lot and they have helped me so much. I wouldn't be where I am today without mentors and coaches. So I'd highly recommend that at least you put it on the back burner or like in the back of your mind to start thinking about that. And then step number 6, read books and listen to podcasts. Education is so important. Not just education from what you're learning at school, but education about people that have been there, done that. I love podcasts and I think I have, some of my favorites. So Audible, I believe it's $14.99 per month and you get 1 credit with that. So with 1 credit, you can download an audiobook. So I listen to this when I'm getting ready in the morning, when I'm going for a run, when I'm driving anywhere. And I just started a book. I don't know if any of you all have heard of Brené Brown, but she's amazing and she talks about leadership. And I just started it a couple days ago and I want to pull it up for you all. It's an 8-hour and 10-minute book. And I already have listened to 3 hours just in a couple of days because today I went to coffee. So I listened to it there. I woke up, I listened to it when I'm getting ready. So you can kind of fit it in all like the random places that you wouldn't necessarily have time to sit down and read a book, but you can listen while you're like doing the dishes, doing laundry, something like that. So I love Audible. If anyone hasn't read this book, I would highly recommend adding it to your list. It's called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. It's how to stop doubting your greatness and start living an awesome life. It's a really great read. She also has You Are a Badass with Money that teaches you how to manage money and be comfortable with it. So this is one of my favorites. Also, this is an oldie but a goodie. I don't think that they have this on Audible, but it's How to Become a Rainmaker. It's probably like this thick. It's not really thick at all. You can read it probably in like 2.5 hours, but it's a chapter per page. So I love books like that because I feel so accomplished. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. I'm getting through this. So this is all about, it's the rules for getting and keeping customers and clients. It's kind of like old school advice, but I really like it because some of the things are like really great foundations. It's like, he tells a story about a guy who he goes to close a sale and he brings the contract with him, sits down with the person who's purchasing from him at the table, puts the contract down, gives him a pen, and the pen doesn't write. And the sales guy didn't bring another pen. And the client was like, you know what? I'm looking for someone who's prepared for any situation. And he ended up not moving forward with the contract. So the lesson here is bring 2 pens if you're in business development. So it's just little things like that. It talks about briefcases and suits. So it's an old school book, but I really like it because the lessons are really great. You guys, I love this book. Okay, so has anyone heard of a little company called Samuel Adams? I'm sure like Oktoberfest is out in full force right now. But this is the founder of Samuel Adams, which is a beer company. His name is Jim Cook, and the book is called Quench Your Own Thirst. This is such a great book because you literally feel like you're having a beer with him. He's so personal and he goes so much in depth with his stories and everything that he goes through. One of the stories that I love was he was going out and selling his beer, and what he did was he brought it in a briefcase so it would stay cold, and he would bring cups. And if anyone works in the hospitality industry, you know, if someone pours you a beer, you can't just like get up and leave or like leave it there or not drink it. So he would go to bars, open his briefcase, pour a beer in front of the bar owner, and they would have to drink it and try it. So he brought his briefcase and did that one day. And the guy was like, okay, I'm going to get sick. I'm going to purchase this. And he was so excited. He closed his briefcase. He ran back to his office. He told his secretary, and she was like, well, Jim, that's great. How many did he order? And he was like, I don't know. I didn't even ask. So he forgot to ask his first customer how many cases of beer he wanted. And I just love that, because you don't really hear that from big companies now, but he shows how vulnerable he is. And it's a really, really amazing book. If y'all ever need book recommendations, just like message me on LinkedIn. I have a whole blog post that I did about it on our website, but I have so many books that I've read that I would highly, highly recommend. But those are really great to get you started. And then if anyone loves podcasts like me, I love learning new things. How I Built This by NPR is amazing. So they come out at midnight on Sunday. So perfect start to your Monday week. It tells about stories and how companies were built. So like Spanx, Airbnb, Instagram, they interview all of these just like incredible founders. This is a really great podcast to listen to for inspiration and how other companies got started. And then step number 7 is differentiate yourself. Like I said before, getting certified in something sets you apart. Putting together an amazing resume sets you apart, but you have to differentiate yourself from other people graduating in the same class as you or even in different universities. So I wanted to give you all this example. This is a leave behind that I put together. And when I was at UCF, there's a company that I wanted to work for called Pernod Ricard, and they own the rights to Absolute vodka. And so what I did was I found this Absolute bottle on Google, pulled it in. Okay, believe it or not, you all aren't going to believe me, but I'm telling you the truth. I pulled it into Microsoft Word and did all of this editing in Microsoft Word because I had no idea how to do Photoshop, no idea how to do anything. So you can kind of see on, where's my mouse? Here it is. You can kind of see like on the outside, it doesn't really match 100%. But whatever, that doesn't matter, right? So what I did was, instead of saying Absolute, my maiden name is Cook, but I put Kaitlyn Cook, marketing major, and then I put a little bit about myself, put local, and then as you can see, it kind of doesn't match in the reflection, but they didn't care. They thought it was so cool. So this is just one idea of how you can differentiate yourself during that interview, because if someone's interviewing 30 plus people or even 15 people, it's going to be really hard to set yourself apart from all of those other people looking to apply. So this is just one example that I wanted to bring for you all as to how you could differentiate yourself. Then step number 8 is update or create your LinkedIn profile. For anyone that doesn't have a LinkedIn, that is your homework. I'm giving you homework right now. Go do your LinkedIn. So get a great headshot, okay? Don't have like a dark headshot. I've seen some horrible ones, but I've seen some great ones too. Get a really great headshot. Update your work history on there. Ask people for recommendations. Ask people to give you, I forget what it is, but they can give you like the pluses and the minuses down at the bottom, the accolades, maybe, I can't remember what it's called. But anyways, fill out your whole LinkedIn profile. Start connecting with people now. There's no reason that you shouldn't be connected to over 500 people. So LinkedIn shows anything 500 below. If you're above 500 people, it shows 500 plus. So my challenge to you is get connected to 500 plus people, because the more people you know, the more people know you and the more opportunities you'll get. So that is your homework after tonight. And then step number 9 is dress professionally to all interviews. I kind of alluded to this earlier, but I've seen everything from jeans to, I'll describe it as a Coachella-like shirt. A lady came in and interviewed with me, and her shirt like swooped in the back like this and had like a little triangle opening, and she was in yoga pants. So needless to say, she didn't get the job. But dress professionally, know what you're interviewing for. And it's even better. You know what I've never had someone do? I've never had someone know a piece of information about me from my past. So if you looked on my LinkedIn profile, you would see that I was in a couple of different groups at UCF. You would see what I studied at UCF. If you did a little bit of digging, you could see that I was from Bradenton, but I've never had anyone pull like a cool past piece of information to the interview. If you can do some research on your interviewer, that's something that's going to set you apart. Like, oh, I see you went to X school. Oh, my cousin went there and he really loves, you know, XYZ. So I'll give you an example of what I used. At my first job with a dermatologist, I noticed that the doctor was in a fraternity and he had this fraternity plaque on his wall. And so I was in a sorority at UCF and I had just graduated, and that's kind of how we built rapport. So my sorority used to do events with a fraternity. He went to another school and graduated, you know, a long time ago. But anyways, that was a common ground that we had that not everyone could bring up in conversation because maybe they didn't look, maybe they didn't pay attention, or maybe they didn't even think about it. So think about how you can relate to your interviewer when you go to interview with them so that you'll set yourself apart. And then step number 10 is do something you love. You know, job interviews are just as much for you as they are for the interviewer, but you need to make sure that you love it, because if you don't love it, you're not going to be happy there, and then you're not going to be doing something that's fulfilling for you. And when you love something, you do your best work or you put your best self forward. So make sure in the interview, wherever you decide to interview, make sure you ask questions for you, because you need to make sure that this is a really great fit for you. And if it's not, and if you get the job and then maybe you have something else that you're thinking of, think about that, because don't just take it because this is the first thing that came to you. Remember, I went on 30 different interviews. It took me, I graduated in May and I finally got my job in September. So it took me a little bit to get it, and I was getting a little discouraged, but I didn't want to settle for calling 150 people on the phone a day. So just remember to do something that you love. And then last but not least, we do offer internships if anyone is interested. We're a fully remote company. We went remote at the end of last year before it was cool and trendy. So we have a really amazing team. Everyone's super creative. If anyone is interested in marketing, you'll learn how to write blogs, how to post blogs. You'll learn a little bit about SEO, social media. You'll help with those Instagram accounts that I told you all. There's an application. You could just go to southstreetmarketing.com/careers, and then it'll take you to the application page if you're interested from there. And then this is how y'all can get in contact with me. This is my direct email. So feel free to email me with any questions. I would love it if you all would connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm super active on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me a direct message. This is our Instagram. And then if you want to check out our website, that's our website there. So I think it went up from 41 to 51. So let me see. Let me pull up this chat over here to see what I'm going to start from the bottom. Great idea. Oh, Girl Wash Your Face. That's a really great book too. I read that, Sarah. That's great. You Are a Badass at Making Money is such a good book. Yes. Used to have career services. Thanks. Oh, Christian, you're welcome. I'm glad you like the resources. Okay, cool. I guess these are. All right, awesome. Does anyone have any other questions that you all want to add to the chat? Or I guess you guys can kind of like shout them out here.
I think we have one from Missionary. You can unmute yourself, I believe.